welcome to the inaugural episode of the Remembering Me podcast. I am going to tell you now, this podcast is designed specifically for caregivers. If you're finding this, maybe you've stumbled upon it, maybe a friend has shared it with you, but you are in the right place. If you are either serving as a caregiver, you have a close family friend or loved one that is a caregiver, or you're contemplating whether to embark upon the caregiver journey. So let me just give you some ground rules. One of the things you'll find is as we're talking, I am always going to refer to your loved one. I am very intentional in that I don't give you a role. I'm not going to say your parent, your spouse. I'm not going to pinpoint you to that because then we become very narrow in how we define what a caregiver is. But it could be a parent, it could be a spouse, it could be an adult child, it could be a close friend, it could be a foster child, it can be your own minor child, it could be a lot of different things. The key is you are in a position and you are providing services as a caregiver. And what that looks like is going to be different for everybody. Here's what I'm going to say. The purpose of this podcast is because I walked into the caregiving journey without a lot of information. But you know what? Here's what I found is that when I kind of took that step, there were individuals who had served as caregivers at some point in their life, and their advice to me was very different. They were almost concerned, right? They seemed very somber. I understand, you let me know. It was very heavy, where everyone else was like, oh, okay, cool. Your loved one's moving in with you, wonderful. But these individuals, it's like they had had a different experience, and there was a levity to how they kind of looked at me embarking on this journey. So what I'm doing is just talking to you, giving you some insights and some information. I want to keep this laid back, right? This is not going to be heavy in the sense of like weighing you down. It's going to be light, but I'm going to be honest. I'm going to be truthful. I am straight, no chaser, right? So we're going to keep it very plain talk. I'm going to say some things that you're not able to say. You may not feel the freedom to say. I'm going to call out things that you need to know and be mindful of. My intent is at the end of watching these podcasts that you feel encouraged. It is so easy for you to sacrifice all that you are, and you don't even realize you've done it. You're just being a good daughter, a good son, a good wife, a good mother, a good, right? Whatever it is in that role, you're just doing the best you know to do to support your loved one, especially when they're in an emergent situation. It's an emergency, it's urgent, it requires immediate action. You step in, put on the cape, right? What I will say is that it's usually not until later that you open your eyes and you realize, hey, wait a minute. I haven't started that business I was talking about. I stopped riding bikes with my friends, right? I stopped talking about that book that I was writing. I never submitted that application for grad school. Whatever it is. You find that your life has become stagnant, that in your zeal and your just zest and interest in advocating, loving, caring for that loved one, that you have put yourself to the wayside. So, no more. What we're going to be doing is talking about how to regain that part of yourself and how to make sure that you don't end up on an altar. Right? As much as you love your loved one, you're not placing yourself on the altar, so all that you have planned and purposed and intended for your life has to suffer. Now, this can be a tall order. There are some steps we're going to look at. There are some things that you need to consider. But I promise that you can be just as effective as a caregiver and as present and active in your own personal life. They don't have to be two separate goals, right? They can all happen at the same time. I will tell you that your loved one is better served if you are present and happy and fulfilled, right? You're going to be a much better caregiver if you don't feel like you've lost your life. And I mean that just in the fullest sense of realizing you don't have relationships, whether it's friends, whether it's romantic relationships, whether it's just, right, the energy to do things, you can find very easily. And if you haven't taken this journey, please don't let me dissuade you. We are going to look at all the things, right? We're going to look at the ins and outs. I'm going to give you access to resources. We're going to talk to other caregivers. We're going to hear your questions. Some of you are in conflicts with family members, right? They think you should do X, Y, and Z. And I'm telling you, when you're a caregiver, there is no greater list that people have for you on how you can do what you need to do better than those that are outside of this situation that are trying to give you advice and feedback. But I will tell you, you can submit them to me, direct message. We will answer those on this podcast. I'm going to keep it frank, and I'm going to, whatever information you don't provide, I'm going to read my own facts into it. But I'm going to try to give you a robust answer that helps you. Because when you are in this situation, the only one that can dictate what you will do, what you must do, all the things, is you. You also need to be able to determine if this is still right for you. And it's okay to make that decision. And I am going to encourage you to do evaluations at different points to make sure it still works for you. And not so that you automatically walk away from caregiving. It's not easy, right? And it's easy for people to just say, oh, I'm done with it. I'm not suggesting that we end up in that point. What I am suggesting is that you assess, is this working for me right now? And if it's not, what tweaks, what changes can I make so it serves me better as I serve and care for my loved one? So we're going to have some fun. I am straight. I am very honest, very matter of fact. And you will see that what I share with you may not be what you expect to hear. It likely is not going to be mainstream. One of our first podcasts we're going to cover is the top 5 reasons why you should not become a caregiver. We'll follow it up with the top 5 reasons why you should become a caregiver. But the should not is not saying that, hey, you shouldn't do this. It's saying if these 5 things are your reason for doing it, you need to reevaluate. These are terrible reasons to embark upon this journey. The interesting thing is you'll find on that list that it's probably some of the more common reasons people do undertake the caregiving tasks. So, lots to be said, lots of fun. We're going to have a really good time. And you are going to figure out in this process how to remember you. That's why it's called Remembering Me. You are determined, hopefully. You are owed the ability to live out purpose. So I will tell you, and we're going to talk about all the things. There's so many topics. But I will say that in the African American community, sometimes we find that loved ones have not necessarily prepared properly. And becoming a caregiver, I don't want it to ever become a generational curse, where when you're in your stride of life and where you are ready to roll, that a life event happens to a loved one, whatever the role is, and it completely sidetracks all of those things that you have for your life. I want you to be successful. You are deserving of success, blessings, all the wonderful things that life has to offer. If you're not feeling that right now in your caregiving journey, please listen. Please like, share, subscribe. I promise you we're going to get there together. And I look forward to you being a better you. And I promise you your loved one is going to enjoy who you are because of this journey we take together. All right. Look forward to seeing more of you in the future. And always, please remember to take care.